Before time was measured, before the first light touched the horizon, and before the earth carried form, a mystery was present that goes beyond human understanding. The story of creation is not only about what was made, but about who made it and why. To reflect on these beginnings is to step into a journey that leads beyond human thought and into the eternal, where silence awaited the word that would bring forth life. Creation is not an accident, nor is it the result of chance or chaos. It is the unfolding of intention, the shaping of existence by a voice filled with wisdom and power. Every mountain, every star, every drop of water carries the mark of design, reminding us that nothing is without meaning. To hear the story of creation is to recognize that existence itself has a foundation, a purpose spoken before the beginning. When we look at the world today, with its vast skies, its endless seas, and the life that fills every corner, we are seeing not only beauty, but testimony. The heavens proclaim greatness, the earth declares order, and life itself speaks of the one who formed it. Every breath is part of the story, every moment a continuation of what began when God first spoke. This story also reminds us of our place in the world. Humanity is not distant from creation, but part of it, formed with purpose and called to recognize the wonder of what has been made. To reflect on creation is to rediscover awe, to see not only the physical world, but also the meaning that lies beneath it. It is an invitation to live with gratitude, with reverence, and with hope. As you listen to the story of creation unfold in this film, let your heart be open to its depth and beauty. This is more than a retelling of ancient words. It is a reminder of truth that still speaks today. The same voice that called light into being still sustains the world, and the same wisdom that shaped the beginning still holds every detail of existence. If reflections like these bring you encouragement and inspiration, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you can follow future messages. Like the video to show your support, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and consider sharing this film with others who may also be touched by the beauty of the story of creation. Together we can journey deeper into the truths that began before the beginning. Before the unfolding of creation, before galaxies swirled in brilliance, and before oceans were drawn into their boundaries, eternity alone stretched without measure. No moments passed, no seasons turned, no dawn ever came, and no evening followed. Time itself had not yet been spoken into existence, for in that realm there was only God, eternal and complete, unbound by beginning or end. To human understanding, this is a concept nearly impossible to grasp, because every thought is shaped by the flow of time. Yet beyond that flow lies eternity, and it is from eternity that creation was born. God did not dwell in emptiness, nor was he surrounded by lack. Eternity was not barren, but abundant, filled with his own glory, wisdom, and presence. He needed nothing, for he was complete in himself. His existence was perfect harmony, never changing, never diminished, never waiting in weakness. In eternity, the fullness of who he is already existed, yet within that fullness was purpose, a purpose that one day would be spoken into reality. When people consider what was before time, they often imagine silence or void, yet what truly existed was not nothingness, but everything held in perfect anticipation. Every star that would shine, every creature that would breathe, every sound that would echo was already known in the eternal mind of God. Nothing was hidden from him, for all creation rested in his plan long before it became visible. Eternity itself carries the weight of certainty. The universe did not arrive by chance. It did not emerge from chaos or randomness. Every detail was conceived in wisdom before a word was ever spoken. The galaxies that would one day stretch into uncountable vastness, the smallest grain of sand on the shore, the fragile beating of a heart, all were seen before time began. The thought that God existed before all things is both humbling and awe-inspiring. To him, time is not a measure he is bound to, but a creation he governs. When he chose to bring forth the world, he did not enter into time as a prisoner of it. He called time itself into existence. What humanity sees as unstoppable, the ticking of hours and years, is nothing more than a servant of his eternal will. Within eternity, there was no decay, no aging, no waiting. The stillness was not emptiness, but perfection. Creation was not an accident waiting to happen, it was a certainty waiting to be spoken. Every boundary, every rhythm, every life was prepared before the first moment began. This truth reveals that existence is not fragile chaos, but steady design, unfolding exactly as the Eternal One determined. The human heart often longs to understand beginnings, yet true beginnings cannot be measured by human reason. To reflect on what was before time is to stand on the edge of mystery. Yet in that mystery, one finds assurance, because the God who existed before time is the same who governs it now. The story of creation begins not with uncertainty, but with the unshakable reality of eternity, complete and purposeful, waiting to speak existence into being. After ages of eternal stillness, a sound broke forth that had never been heard before. The silence of eternity was pierced by a word filled with life, power, and authority. This was not sound in the way humanity understands sound, but the command of God, living and active, carrying with it the force to bring forth what had never been. Reality itself began when God spoke, and existence awakened to his voice. Genesis tells us that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. That simple phrase marks one of the most profound moments in all of history. Until then, nothing visible existed. Yet with a word, light burst into being, flooding the emptiness with brilliance. It was not a gradual dawning, but a sudden arrival, immediate and complete, revealing the unmatched power of the divine voice. This moment shows that God's speech is not like human speech. Human words may carry intention, desire, or promise, but they do not always produce what they declare. God's word is different. When he speaks, reality conforms. His command is not suggestion but creation. His voice is not mere expression but action itself. Sound became structure, command became substance, and silence gave way to the order of existence. Light itself is remarkable as the first creation. It was not only physical brightness, it was the beginning of order, rhythm, and clarity. It cut through the formless void and established a division between what was revealed and what remained hidden. In this act, creation gained its first sense of contrast, and life gained its first measure of direction. The silence of eternity did not resist this word, it yielded completely. Creation had no choice but to respond to the voice of its maker. The first moment of sound was also the first moment of obedience, as the universe aligned itself with the command that had called it into being. The brilliance of that first light was more than illumination. It was the signal that the unfolding of creation had begun. This is the power of divine speech. It not only begins things, it sustains them. That same word which first shattered silence continues to uphold creation, keeping stars in their courses and holding galaxies in their places. Without his voice, nothing would remain. With his voice, everything stands. The first command was the foundation upon which all of reality rests. When one reflects on that first word, it is not just an ancient event, but a truth that still echoes. The voice that spoke light into being is the same voice that still speaks today, the same voice that carries life, order, and renewal. The silence of eternity may have been broken once, but the sound of creation continues, resonating through every part of the universe. With light brought into existence by the first word, creation gained its first rhythm. God separated the light from the darkness, giving them distinction and order. Light was named day, darkness was named night, and from this division the cycle of time began. For the first time there was evening and morning, the first day of creation. What had been unbroken stillness now moved with rhythm and harmony. This act of separating light from darkness carries deep meaning. Light was not merely physical brightness, it symbolized clarity, truth, and presence. Darkness was not equal to light, but the absence of it. By dividing the two, God was showing that creation itself would always carry distinction. Life is defined not by sameness, but by order, not by confusion, but by clear boundaries. The first day of light and darkness reveals that contrast is part of design. Without contrast, beauty is hidden, purpose is unclear, and rhythm is lost. Light shines most brightly because it stands against the backdrop of darkness, and darkness is given meaning because it yields to light. This was not a battle, but a harmony, where both played their role in the unfolding song of creation. This rhythm also introduced time. With evening and morning, the world gained a cycle that would shape every season and every generation. Days and nights would follow one another without fail, carrying with them both work and rest, movement and pause. Time was not an endless stream of sameness, but a balanced dance of light and darkness. The presence of light also reminds humanity of dependence. Without light, growth ceases, direction fades, and life withers. Darkness alone cannot sustain, but light gives warmth, clarity, and vitality. From the beginning, creation was built on the truth that life requires light. It was both a physical necessity and a spiritual reminder, for the soul itself finds direction only in the presence of light. Imagine the wonder of that first day. The brilliance of light stretching into the new expanse, the shadows of darkness retreating into their place, and the world experiencing for the first time the cycle of evening and morning. Creation had gained rhythm, and rhythm gave it beauty. The world was no longer silent emptiness, but a symphony of light and darkness working together in harmony. From that day onward, every sunrise and every sunset has been a reminder of this first rhythm. Day and night continue their endless cycle, a testimony that creation still moves to the order established in the beginning. The symphony of light and darkness remains the foundation of time itself, an unchanging rhythm set in place by the voice that first spoke. With the rhythm of day and night established, creation expanded as the heavens were stretched above the earth. The waters below were separated from the waters above, and the expanse in between was called sky. This was not an empty void, but a vast canvas, prepared to display the majesty of what would soon be placed within it. The heavens became the dome of creation, broad and open, drawing eyes upward in wonder. The image of the heavens being stretched speaks of artistry. Like an artist preparing a canvas before painting, God spread out the sky as a backdrop for his masterpiece. It was not chaotic or random, but intentional, measured, and precise. The sky was designed not only for function, but also for beauty, a place where light could shine, clouds could gather, and stars could one day proclaim glory. The separation of waters above and below also reveals order. What was once one undivided mass was now given structure. The waters above would sustain rain, clouds, and weather, while the waters below would continue to flow in seas and rivers. Between them lay the atmosphere, the space where birds would later soar and where humanity would look upward in wonder. The vastness of the heavens reminds humanity of both smallness and significance. To gaze at the endless sky is to feel humbled, recognizing the greatness of creation and the majesty of its maker. Yet at the same time, it reminds us that the same God who stretched the heavens also shaped the ground beneath our feet and formed us with care. The heavens proclaim both his greatness and his nearness. The sky also carries a message of direction. It draws the human gaze upward, away from the earth below and toward what is beyond. Its vastness invites reflection, reminding the soul that life is not only about what is seen and immediate, but about what stretches beyond comprehension. Every horizon is an invitation to look higher, to see further, to seek deeper meaning. Imagine the earth on that second day as the expanse opened above it. The clouds forming, the air fresh and clear, the sky spreading endlessly. What was once hidden in formless waters now stood revealed in balance and beauty. The canvas was prepared, vast and unmeasured, ready to hold the wonders of stars, sun, and moon that would soon appear. From that moment forward, the heavens have continued to declare their silent message. Their endless expanse speaks of majesty. Their beauty inspires awe, and their order sustains life. The canvas of the heavens remains above, stretched across the ages, a constant reminder that creation was shaped with intention and filled with purpose. As creation unfolded further, the waters that once covered everything without boundary were commanded to gather into their places. Oceans, seas, and rivers were drawn into their courses, and from beneath them, dry land rose into sight. This was a moment of order and clarity, when the world began to take its recognizable form. The earth was no longer submerged in depths, it stood firm, with shores, valleys, and mountains emerging from beneath the waters. The gathering of the seas into their boundaries speaks of power and restraint. The waters, vast and mighty, were not permitted to spread endlessly. They were given limits, boundaries that they could not cross. This act revealed divine wisdom, showing that creation was not left to chaos, but shaped with care. Oceans that could overwhelm the land were restrained, while rivers that would nourish the soil were guided to their paths. When the land appeared, it displayed both majesty and stability. Towering peaks reached into the sky, plains spread wide with openness, and valleys curved gently into the earth. Every contour reflected design. Nothing was misplaced, nothing without purpose. The ground became a foundation, prepared to support the life that would soon spring forth from it. This emergence of land also teaches that creation is built upon balance. Water sustains life, but without boundaries it would consume. Land provides stability, but without water it would remain barren. Together they form a harmony, each serving its purpose, each necessary for the flourishing of life. The gathering of the waters and the revealing of the earth was not simply geography, it was the preparation of a home for life. The land that rose from beneath the waters was not lifeless. It was rich with potential, a storehouse of minerals, soil, and foundation. Within its depths lay the resources for growth and abundance. It was not an empty stage, but a place ready to provide and sustain. From the beginning, creation was built with foresight, preparing what would be needed before life arrived to inhabit it. Imagine the wonder of that moment. Seas roaring as they drew back into their places, mountains piercing through the surface, plains stretching into view, and rivers carving paths across the land. The stillness of the earth broke into movement and formation as order gave birth to beauty. The world was being shaped into a place where the next acts of creation could take root. This moment also carries a message of trust. Just as the seas were given boundaries, so too, in life, boundaries exist for purpose. They are not to restrain freedom, but to preserve it. The same wisdom that kept the waters from overwhelming the land also governs the rhythms and limits of existence. The earth revealed from beneath the waters is not only a physical reality, but also a symbol of how life flourishes within order. From that day onward, the seas and land have remained in their balance. The boundaries still hold, the land still stands, the waters still flow in their places. What was spoken then continues to sustain now, a testimony of power, wisdom, and purpose. The waters gathered, the earth revealed, and creation was ready to bring forth its next display of life. Once the land stood firm, it did not remain barren. At the command of God, the soil itself brought forth vegetation, filling the earth with life. Grass stretched across the fields, trees rose high with fruit, and plants of every kind spread across the land. For the first time, the once empty ground was clothed in green, alive with growth and abundance. The mystery of this moment lies in the seed. Each plant was created with the ability to reproduce according to its kind. Seeds were hidden within fruit, waiting to bring forth new life. Within the smallest seed lay the potential for forests, gardens, and harvests. The earth was not just covered in plants for beauty, but equipped with the power of multiplication, ensuring that life would continue from generation to generation. Vegetation was not only an adornment of creation, but also provision. The earth was filled with food before any creature walked upon it. Trees bore fruit, plants provided nourishment, and the land itself became generous. This foresight shows the wisdom of the Creator, who prepared abundance before need arose. Life was not placed upon a barren world, but into a garden ready to sustain it. The beauty of vegetation also reveals delight. Meadows filled with wildflowers, forests thick with leaves, vines climbing and spreading, each carried not only function but artistry. The earth was painted with color, fragrance, and variety. This richness was not necessary for survival, yet it was given freely, showing that creation was built not only for utility, but for wonder. The cycle of growth within seeds also holds a deeper meaning. A seed, small and hidden, often appears lifeless, yet within it lies the mystery of renewal. When placed in soil, it bursts forth, multiplying into abundance. This cycle of dying and rising again teaches that life often comes from what appears hidden or lost. From the beginning, creation carried within it the message that what seems small can become great, and what seems buried can bring forth life. Imagine the world as it was clothed in vegetation for the first time. Fields rolling with green, forests rising tall, rivers lined with trees, hills covered in grass, and flowers opening their petals to the new light. The land that once stood bare now flourished with color, fragrance, and nourishment. It was not an empty earth, but a living one, generous and abundant. This abundance was not random, but ordered. Every seed carried its kind, every plant followed its design. Wheat did not become grapevines, nor did apple seeds produce figs. Each carried within itself the mark of intention, a reminder that creation was not chaos, but precision. The earth was filled with variety, yet bound together in harmony. From that moment forward, seeds have continued their silent work. Fields yield their harvests, trees bear their fruit, gardens flourish, and forests expand. The cycle of life hidden in the soil has never ceased, carrying forward the same wisdom that was spoken in the beginning. The earth was clothed with vegetation, and creation was prepared for its next display of order and beauty. With the land filled with life, creation turned once more to the heavens. Into the vast canvas of the sky, God set the great lights to govern day and night, and he scattered countless stars across the expanse. The sun was placed to shine with brilliance over the day, the moon to reflect its gentle glow at night, and the stars to sparkle as a reminder of vastness and wonder. These lights were not only for beauty, but for order. Genesis records that they were given to mark seasons, days, and years. With their appearance, the great rhythm of time was established, a rhythm that would guide both nature and humanity. The rising and setting of the sun would mark the hours of the day. The phases of the moon would measure the months. The stars would chart seasons and directions. Time itself began to move with structure and meaning. The sun stands as the source of warmth and energy. Its rays nourish the earth, giving strength to plants, life to creatures, and rhythm to every day. The moon governs the night, reflecting light into darkness, shaping the tides of the seas, and offering calm when the sun has set. The stars, scattered in uncountable number, remind creation of vastness, mystery, and glory. What makes this order remarkable is its precision. The sun rises and sets with unwavering consistency. The moon moves in cycles that can be predicted. The stars align in patterns that have guided travelers for centuries. This is no fragile system, but one held in place by the same voice that spoke it into being. The heavens are not random. They are sustained by order. These lights also carry meaning beyond function. They remind humanity of rhythm, that life itself flows with seasons. Planting and harvest, work and rest, waking and sleeping, all find their balance in the rhythm set by the sun, moon and stars. Without these markers, time would drift without anchor. With them, life finds harmony, direction, and certainty. The vastness of the heavens, filled with stars, inspires awe. To stand beneath a sky glittering with countless lights is to feel both small and deeply moved. Each star, though distant, testifies to the greatness of the one who placed it there. The heavens, vast beyond comprehension, were spread out not only to sustain life, but also to draw the human heart toward wonder. Imagine the first sunrise, blazing with strength across the new earth, warming the soil and lighting the sky. Imagine the first nightfall, when the moon cast its gentle glow and the stars stretched across the heavens in brilliance. The world that had been clothed in vegetation now existed beneath a sky alive with rhythm, beauty, and majesty. From that day forward, the lights of the heavens have continued to govern. The sun still rises and sets, the moon still marks its cycles, the stars still proclaim vastness. Their order has never failed, their beauty has never ceased, their rhythm has never faltered. The lights that mark the seasons remain a constant reminder of the wisdom and power that established them. With the heavens alive with light and the earth clothed in vegetation, creation moved into a new display of abundance. The seas that had been gathered into their places were filled with life, and the skies that stretched above were filled with motion. From the depths of the oceans to the heights of the heavens, creatures of every kind came forth, vibrant, diverse, and full of wonder. The seas became alive with great creatures. Whales glided through the deep, schools of fish darted in unison, and countless forms, large and small, moved in harmony with the waters. From the smallest unseen creatures to the largest and most powerful, the oceans teemed with life. The waters that once lay still now roared with vitality, filled with abundance and diversity. The skies, too, were given life. Birds spread their wings and soared across the heavens. Eagles soared in majesty, sparrows darted with swiftness, and countless species filled the air with songs. The once silent sky was filled with sound, with motion, with beauty. The heavens became alive with flight, every wing a reminder of design and care. This stage of creation reveals joy and variety. The waters did not hold one kind of life, but many. The skies did not echo with one kind of sound, but countless songs. Each creature was distinct, yet all were part of the same harmony. Diversity itself became a testimony of abundance, showing that creation was not built for scarcity, but for fullness. The blessing upon these creatures was multiplication. They were commanded to fill the waters and the skies, to spread across the earth in abundance. Life was not meant to remain limited, but to expand, to increase, to thrive. The waters would always teem, the skies would always sing, the blessing of fruitfulness would continue from generation to generation. The design of these creatures also shows extraordinary precision. The flight of birds requires balance and detail, every feather serving its purpose. The movement of fish through water requires perfect form, every scale placed in its design. From the smallest details to the largest forms, each reflects craftsmanship beyond measure. Imagine the first morning when birds filled the sky, their wings catching the light of the rising sun, their songs filling the air. Imagine the first waves breaking as great creatures moved beneath the seas, the waters swirling with motion and life. The silence that once covered the seas and skies was replaced with sound, rhythm, and joy. From that day forward, the waters and skies have never ceased to be alive. Waves still break with the movement of creatures, and skies still echo with the songs of birds. The diversity of life continues, the abundance remains, the rhythm endures. The waters filled, the skies alive, creation proclaimed beauty, variety, and fullness in ways that continue to this very day. With the seas teeming with creatures and the skies alive with birds, the land awaited its turn to be filled. At the command of God, the earth itself brought forth living beings of every kind. From the soil and mountains, from valleys and plains, animals of every form began to appear, each shaped with purpose, each placed within the balance of creation. The stillness of the land was broken by the sound of footsteps, calls, and movement, and the earth came alive. Some creatures were formed for strength, built to carry burdens and endure. Others were crafted with speed, racing across the plains with swiftness and grace. Some moved quietly close to the ground, while others stood tall and mighty, their presence commanding attention. Each kind reflected imagination and variety, each carried its own role, and none were without meaning. The land was no longer silent, but filled with the rhythm of life. The design of land creatures reveals the depth of order within creation. Some animals were suited for companionship, some for provision, and others for balance within the natural world. The cycle of life was not chaotic but interconnected, each creature depending on another, each serving a place within the larger whole. From the greatest beasts to the smallest crawling forms, every life was part of a grand design. This stage of creation also prepared the world for harmony with humanity. The animals were not placed to live in isolation, but to share the land with people who would soon be formed. Their presence reflected abundance, showing that creation was not empty or barren, but generous and overflowing. The earth was meant to be shared, filled with variety, and sustained with care. The variety of creatures also displays beauty beyond necessity. Stripes, spots, horns, wings, tusks, and countless other features reveal artistry. These details were not simply for survival, but for splendor, to fill the world with wonder. The Creator did not form only what was needed, but what was delightful, painting the earth with diversity that inspires awe. Consider the sound of creation on that day, the cries of animals echoing through valleys, herds moving together across plains, insects humming through the air, and creatures stirring the forests. The land was no longer empty. It pulsed with energy, filled with sounds, colors, and motion. The once quiet soil became the stage for abundance. The presence of animals also reminds humanity of responsibility. They were entrusted to human stewardship, not as possessions to exploit, but as fellow inhabitants of the earth. Their lives reflect the wisdom of creation, their roles sustain balance, and their variety speaks of care. Humanity was to honor that balance, to live in partnership with the creatures of the land. The day the earth came alive marked the fullness of preparation. From seas to skies, from soil to seed, and now from land to creature, the world was ready. It was no longer a silent canvas, but a living masterpiece, filled with abundance and harmony. The earth was alive, and the stage was set for the arrival of creation's pinnacle. With the earth now vibrant with creatures, the story of creation reached its highest point. Humanity was formed, not as one more creature among many, but as the reflection of the Creator himself. This was the moment when life took on a new dimension, for humans were made in the image and likeness of God. Unlike animals of the land, birds of the sky or creatures of the sea, humanity carried within itself a spiritual imprint, a reflection of the divine. Genesis records the words, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, and all the wild animals." With these words, humanity's identity was established. People were not made by chance, nor fashioned as afterthoughts. They were formed with intention, carrying dignity, responsibility, and purpose. The image of God within humanity is not a matter of appearance, but of nature. Humans were given the ability to think, to choose, to create, to love, and to act with justice and mercy. These capacities reflect the nature of the one who made them. Humanity alone was entrusted with stewardship over creation, given the task of guiding, protecting, and nurturing the earth and its creatures. The forming of humanity also reveals a balance of humility and greatness. From the dust of the ground, people were shaped, showing their dependence upon creation itself. Yet into that dust, God breathed life, elevating humanity above all other creatures. This union of soil and spirit reveals both fragility and glory, reminding humanity of their connection to the earth and their reflection of heaven. The creation of male and female demonstrates completeness. Both were made in the image of God, equal in worth, distinct in design, and united in purpose. Their relationship with each other was rooted in the same divine likeness, meant to reflect unity and harmony. Together, they embodied the fullness of humanity, carrying both individuality and shared calling. To be made in the image of God also means being capable of relationship with Him. Unlike other creatures, humanity was designed to know their Maker, to commune with Him, to walk in His presence. This spiritual capacity is the deepest distinction of human life, the mark that elevates it above all other creation. Humanity was made not only to exist, but to live in fellowship with the one who gave them breath. The responsibility given to humanity was profound. To rule over creation was not a command of domination, but of stewardship. It was a calling to care for the land, the seas, and the skies, to nurture and preserve, to ensure that creation flourished. Authority was given not for destruction, but for guidance, reflecting the rule of the Creator Himself, who governs with wisdom and care. Imagine the first moment humanity opened their eyes. They saw the brilliance of the sun, the vastness of the sky, the beauty of the earth, the abundance of creatures, and in all of it, they stood as beings uniquely formed, carrying the likeness of the one who spoke it all into being. They were surrounded by wonder, yet they themselves were the greatest wonder of all. This was the pinnacle of creation, the crowning act that completed the story of beginnings. Humanity was formed with dignity, purpose, and destiny, reflecting the image of the eternal and entrusted with the care of the earth. Every breath they took, every step they made, carried the imprint of their Creator. The story of creation had reached its greatest expression, the making of beings who could know, love, and walk with the one who gave them life. With the heavens filled with lights, the seas alive with creatures, the skies filled with song, the land rich with animals, and humanity standing as the reflection of the Creator, the story of creation came to a moment of completion. 6 days of forming, filling, and ordering had passed, and now the 7th day arrived. It was unlike any other, for no command to create was spoken. Instead, the rhythm of creation reached its fullness through rest. God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, for on it He rested from all His work. This rest was not out of fatigue, for the Creator does not grow weary. It was a rest of satisfaction, the pause of completion, the stillness of fulfillment. Everything that was intended had been spoken into being. Every part of the design was in its place, and all was declared very good. The 7th day was a seal upon creation, a day set apart to reflect the wholeness of what had been done. The rhythm of rest was woven into the very structure of existence. Just as day and night created time, just as seasons marked the year, so too rest marked the cycle of life. It was established not only for God's own declaration, but as a gift to humanity. Work was never meant to be endless labor without pause. From the beginning, life was designed to move in balance, with times of labor and times of renewal, times of motion and times of stillness. This rest carried meaning beyond the physical. It was a call to communion, to turn from activity and reflect on the source of all life. Humanity was invited into this rhythm, to pause and remember that the world is not sustained by human effort, but by divine power. Rest became a declaration of trust, a reminder that creation was complete, that the Creator is sovereign, and that life finds fullness in Him. The seventh day also pointed forward to a deeper truth. Just as creation was completed and rest declared, so too would humanity one day find ultimate rest in the presence of the Creator. The pattern established in the beginning was not only about days and weeks, but about the destiny of all creation. Rest was given as both a rhythm for life and a promise of fulfillment. Imagine the stillness of that seventh day. The seas continued to move, the birds continued to sing, the sun rose and set, yet all was wrapped in the blessing of completion. The world was not striving to become more, it was already whole. It was not reaching for fulfillment, it was already declared good. The rest of that day was a proclamation that creation was perfect in its order and rich in its harmony. From that day, the rhythm of rest has never lost its meaning. It calls humanity to remember the balance of life, to honor the gift of renewal, and to live not in endless toil, but in harmony with the design established at the very beginning. The seventh day remains a testimony, a reminder that creation is not endless labor, but purposeful life, marked by times of work and times of peace. The story of creation, from the first word that shattered silence to the rest of the seventh day, is a story of order, abundance, and meaning. Every detail was shaped with intention, every rhythm set with care, every life given with purpose. It reveals a world not born from chaos, but from wisdom, not held together by chance, but by the voice that spoke it into being. The account of creation is more than a story of beginnings. It is a foundation for life itself. It speaks of a world designed with care, filled with beauty, and sustained by purpose. It reminds us that existence is not random, but meaningful, that humanity carries a unique place in creation, and that rest is a gift woven into the rhythm of life. The heavens, the earth, the seas, and every living thing continue to testify to the wisdom and power of the one who made them. If this message has inspired you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you will not miss future content. Like the video to support the work being shared, leave a comment with your reflections or questions, and share this film with your family and friends so they too can be encouraged by the story of creation. Together, let us continue to reflect, to learn, and to find wonder in the truths that were spoken before the beginning.